made to you so special? Nothing. I'm just a kid from Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn!
Were you scared of it? No, not at all, huh?
Nope, I'm from Brooklyn.
You're from Brooklyn, huh?
I just wanna rap. Okay, guys, Frank Stout, just a guy from Brooklyn, ready to bring you a big, epic 100-movie marathon of my top 100 80s movies ranked. This is going to be a 3-part series. And all I can say about the 80s is nostalgia. Nostalgia is a very, very powerful thing. There's something just happens when you're growing up and you experience things and witness things, and it's just so special to you. And then when you get older, you yearn for those things that you experienced when you were younger. The 80s were really my time to shine. They were my time to grow up. It's just such a special thing. I'm going to be doing this in 3 parts. And even though I'm doing it in 3 parts, it's still a marathon and not a sprint. So I'm definitely going to not be discussing each movie at length. And so I really don't want to waste too much time. So let's get to our rules. And rule number 1 is spoilers. These movies are 30 to 40 years old. I'm not going to worry too much about spoilers. I'm not saying I'm going to spoil anything, but it is possible. So I'm going to give you like a medium spoiler warning. Rule number 2 is, and this is something I say at the beginning of every ranking, this is a favorites list, not a best list. So the best way you can converse with me about my list is to show me yours. Honorable mention number 3 is China Girl. This is West Side Story meets Canal Street with less music and dancing and more bullets and blood. The mafia and the Chinese mafia are practicing a good neighbor policy, but the street gangs just won't play ball. You might recognize a young David Caruso here. The actor who plays Tony is actually a Brooklyn local named Richard Panabianco. I can still remember the girls at my high school talking about when this movie was being made, how big of a deal and how cute he was and everything. I think they expected him to be a big thing. He really wasn't. I think he made something like 4 or 5 films total. But he did have his little moment in the sun, and I thought he did a pretty good job in the movie. My favorite moment is the dance scene, which is very, very different. This actually starts at the beginning of the movie. It's kind of like some sort of 80s kind of punk kind of club. It was pretty awesome. Honorable mention number 2 is The Mutilator, originally known as Fall Break, an 80s slasher about a bunch of young people staying at a beachfront condo for fall break. It's got fantastic kills, lots of carnage. One kill in particular involving a huge fishing hook, and it's going, well, somewhere it's not supposed to go. Honorable mention number 2 is Spies Like Us. Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, 2 comedy legends, play a bunch of misfit spies set up as a decoy so that the real spies can disarm some Russian nukes. Really, really silly stuff. Very fun. And one scene I'd like to mention, they're talked into performing surgery because they're impersonating doctors, and they have to fake their way through an entire surgery. Pretty awesome stuff. Kicking things off at my list at number 100 is Hello, Mary Lou, Prom Night 2. An 80s slasher with a supernatural element, something akin to Elm Street, lots of imagery, dream imagery, and it's involving a teenager being possessed by a pissed would-be prom queen. Mary Lou is not someone to be fucked with. The practical effects in this, the trippy visuals. My favorite scene is definitely a locker room scene where she's stalking one of her classmates who hides into a locker, and well,
A wop bobbaloo bop a wop bam.
Coming in at number 99 is a movie called Short Circuit. It's a cute story about a robot named Number 5 who gets hit by lightning and is given life. Unfortunately, this is a powerful weapons-ready military robot. Steve Guttenberg, Ali Sheedy, they are the co-stars here. It's pretty fun stuff. It was good enough to get a sequel at one point. My favorite moment is Sheedy's ex-boyfriend decides to show up, give her a hard time, and Number 5 gives him a licking. Coming in at number 98 is Psycho 3. Anthony Perkins directs this installment, and he decides to go with a straight slasher formula. Thanks to the events of part 2, Norman's lost all his marbles. So Perkins goes fully over the top. It's a little raunchier than the other two movies, but very, very fun. My favorite scene is the final scene.
Why can't you leave my poor son, my Norman, alone?
Coming in at number 97 is The Running Man. This was actually written by Stephen King under a pseudonym, and it's about a post-apocalyptic world where Arnold is set up to play in a dangerous game show as he and his friends are hunted down for ratings. His one-liners in this movie are priceless.
I'm warning you, I get sick. Air sick, car sick. I'm gonna throw up all over you.
Go ahead. Won't you on this shirt?
Maria Conchita Alonso is here. Great Richard Dawson from Family Feud. He actually is the villain here. That was actually very, very fun to watch him play that. And there's also some good stuff from Jesse the Body Ventura. Coming in at number 96 is The Money Pit. Tom Hanks and Shelley Long invest everything to buy a beautiful house that's secretly a complete lemon. Then they invest even more to try and repair it. Can they survive through the repairs without losing it all? There's a very, very funny scene in which Hanks is stuck on the second floor in a hole in the floor, but sucked in by a rug, and nobody can find where he's at, and all types of craziness ensue because of this. And coming in at number 95 is Creepshow 2. Not as much solid content as the original, but Old Chief Woodenhead and The Raft are so good, it makes up for all of that. The Raft just happens to be my favorite story of both movies, with a group of horny teens trapped by a killer oil slick. It's really good, so good it should have been its own movie. And of course, at 94 is the original Creepshow. It's a horror anthology made by horror legends in a comic book style fashion. It's also got an all-star team of Hollywood talent. Every story is solid and creepy. Something to tide you over with Leslie Nielsen and Ted Danson is absolutely phenomenal. Coming in at number 93 is Wildcats. Goldie Hawn is given her dream job of coaching varsity high school football, but is secretly set up to fail as it's the most dangerous high school in town. This is actually the first time we see Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson work together, and they do a great job. There's also a quick musical appearance by a very, very young LL Cool J. My favorite moment is when the coach races the entire team to get their respect. Coming in at number 92 is Humanoids from the Deep. This is a creature feature where the sea monsters invade a small fishing town, and they're a little naughty. It's got tons of carnage, blood, scares, and boobs. The final scene involving one of the victims finishes off the movie very nicely. Coming in at 91 is Krull. This is a sci-fi sword and sorcery epic with a prince on a quest to save his princess bride from an evil galactic warlord. This has an almost RPG style plot with him having to acquire weapons and items to fulfill his quest. You got beautiful stop motion magic and a young Liam Neeson. My favorite scene is easily the final scene where Corwin and his bride battle the monster with him using this special weapon known as the glaive. Coming in at number 90 is a movie called Splash. This is a Tom Hanks comedy where he falls in love with a mysterious woman played by the gorgeous Daryl Hannah, only to discover that she is in fact a mermaid. When the truth comes out, he must make a decision and the clock is ticking. In this movie, there's a secret base located inside of the Museum of Natural History in Manhattan, which is just something I love to see in movies.
What's your name?
It's hard to say in English.
Well, just say it in your language.
All right. My name is...
Coming in at number 89 is The Last Starfighter. Lance Guest plays Alex Rogan, a guy who quickly realizes that the arcade game he just mastered was actually a test for the real thing, as he's sent to space to save the galaxy. Meanwhile, on Earth, an android duplicate of Alex must pretend to be him in order to keep his cover. This has some very, very early CG. I'm talking early stages. But it actually looks really, really good for the space battle scenes. My favorite scene is Death Blossom, a weapon that can only be used as a last resort, and Alex is forced to use it. Coming in at number 88 is Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. High school kids Bill and Ted use time travel to pass a history report with their futures on the line, as well as the future of the human race. Having all the great historic figures at the mall causing havoc is reason enough to watch this. But my favorite scene is Napoleon at a water park having a ball, and of course, the water park is named Waterloo. Coming in at number 87 is Beat Street. DJ Kenny, his b-boy little brother Lee, and graffiti artist Ramon all have hopes of showcasing their talents outside the South Bronx. This was the height of breakdancing in New York. I'm talking windbreakers, shell tops, and kazals. Yes, I actually owned all of these things, and yes, I was out there on the street looking for huge pieces of cardboard so I can practice my backspin all the time. This also has 80s hottie Ray Dong Chung. My favorite moment is easily the rap battle at the Roxy, an actual club from back in the day. The battle between the Beat Street Breakers and the Bronx Rockers, really epic stuff. Coming in at number 86 is Beverly Hills Cop. Eddie Murphy plays Axel Foley, a Detroit cop who investigates the murder of a longtime friend in Beverly Hills. The buddy cop genre will never be the same. Most of these movies sport two partners, but Axel, Billy, and Taggart have great chemistry together. And ironically, my favorite character is Bronson Pinchot of the TV show Perfect Strangers fame. He plays a character named Serge.
Tony Brennan, tell me Summers that Mr. Ahmed Foley is here to see...
Axel Foley. Axel.
Axel Foley is here to see her. These are all the queens. Donnie, discover this up. It's
I'm
like
sorry.
the breast of
sorry.
a dog to scrub for the customer. It's not sexy, it's animal.
No, it's not sexy at all.
Coming in at number 85 is Space Camp. A group of Space Camp kids are accidentally sent up into space. They must work together to survive. This feels like a summer blockbuster mixed with an enlistment commercial for NASA. 80s heartthrob Leah Thompson and a very, very young Joaquin Phoenix are here. My favorite scene is obviously the launch scene with them getting sent up into space. all because of a small NASA robot named Max. Coming in at number 84 is Romancing the Stone, a sort of Indiana Jones ripoff with Kathleen Turner, Michael Douglas, and Danny DeVito, and this is not the last time these three will make movies together. Romance novelist Joan Wilder heads to Cartagena, Colombia to save her sister. It's a very, very fun action comedy. My favorite moment, when Joan and Jack are seeking help in a small town, they find a drug lord named Juan.
Okay, Joan Wilder, write us out of this one.
John Wilder? John Wilder? You are John Wilder, the novelist?
Yes, I am.
I read your books. I read all your books. Come in.
Coming in at number 83 is DC Cab. This misfit cab company teach newcomer Albert Hockenberry the ropes. The problem is they're the worst cab company in town. But when a missing violin worth millions is left in one of the cabs, there's a sliver of hope. You've got Mr. T, Gary Busey, Bill Maher, and Paul Rodriguez, amongst others. This is easily my favorite Gary Busey role.
A short trip to the airport, which you are not licensed to make anyway. A trip that should have cost $12. And you charge Mr. and Mrs. Tumatsu $195?
They had a lot of luggage.
Coming in at number 82 is Escape from New York. It's the future, and the island of Manhattan is a prison. Air Force One crashes, and now the inmates are holding the president hostage. Kurt Russell plays Snake Plissken, a badass who's basically suicide squatted to break in and rescue the commander-in-chief. Many great moments, but my favorite scene is the big escape over the 69th Street Bridge, which, in fact, there is no 69th Street Bridge in Manhattan. Ironically, this entire scene was filmed on a bridge in St. Louis. Coming in at number 81 is Major League, a fantastic baseball comedy where a Cleveland Indians team is constructed to lose so the owner can move the team. But once the truth is revealed, the team defiantly strives to win it all. You got Tom Berenger, Charlie Sheen, and Wesley Snipes. But my favorite is Dennis Haysbert, who plays Paul Serrano, the power hitter who worships J-Boo. And from what I hear, it is not wise to steal J-Boo's rum. My favorite moment in the movie, enter the Wild Thing. Coming in at number 80 is Child's Play. Mom buys popular doll for her son, unawares that it is possessed by a serial killer. After Chucky kills the babysitter, Mom begins to suspect that the doll might be alive. At this point, Chucky has transcended to horror icon status. The franchise is still going strong. You've got remakes, you got TV shows, and I hear there are other projects on the way. My favorite scene is Mom checking Chucky out and realizing that there are no batteries inside.
I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch, you filthy slut!
Coming in at number 79 is Commando. Arnold tries to out-Rambo Sly by doing this over-the-top macho action flick. His entire team has been assassinated, and his daughter, played by Alyssa Milano, has been kidnapped. But somehow he must turn the tides in his favor. You got a lot of Jamaican steel drums playing, and a whole lot of ass kicking. Another appearance by Hottie Ray Dong Chung. Coming in at number 78 is The Neverending Story. Bookworm kid Bastian borrows a special book that takes him on an adventure as he follows a warrior child named Atreyu, who must stop the Nothing from destroying his world. The stunning effects, the epic song, surprisingly very scary for a children's movie. My favorite moment is a very, very sad one, as Atreyu's horse Artax dies in the swamp of sadness. I don't know anybody who can watch this scene without shedding at least one tear. Coming in at number 77 is The Golden Child. Eddie Murphy plays Chandler Gerald, who is on a mission to find and save a holy Tibetan child who's been kidnapped by dark forces looking to put the world in darkness. Murphy is hilarious as he is in his comedic prime. This movie came out around the same time as Big Trouble in Little China. They both have similar premise and use a lot of the same actors, which is perfect segue for number 76, which is Big Trouble in Little China. Kurt Russell and John Carpenter team up once again in this mystical Hong Kong style action fantasy comedy. Lo Pan, a demon prince crime lord, kidnaps a Chinese girl with jade green eyes in order to return to the land of the living. It's up to a ragtag group of rebels led by Jack Burton and Egg Chen to stop him. There's no denying that this movie was a heavy influence for the video game Mortal Kombat. You see it everywhere. Coming in at number 75 is Beetlejuice. Winona Ryder plays Lydia, an emo teen who makes friends with a sweet ghost couple who are still learning the ropes of being ghosts. When her parents try to exploit these ghosts, Beetlejuice, played by Michael Keaton, offers his services to Lydia. But there's always a price. You got Gina Davis, Alec Baldwin, and my favorite scene is easily the juice is loose. Lydia agrees to work with Beetlejuice, and he goes all out and takes everybody out. Coming in at number 74 is A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Rennie Harlan does way more with less, as his fantastic dream imagery and kills save this could-be mediocre sequel. Patricia Arquette is gone, and so is this film's budget halfway through the making of the movie. But it's very fun as Freddy goes full MTV. My favorite scene, the cockroach kill. It is so memorable. It's one of his best kills of the franchise. Coming in at number 73 is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. In this sequel, Indiana investigates a secret ancient cult that has stolen some mystical stones from a small village. This time he's aided by Kate Capshaw and Little Ki Hui Kwan. Tons of action and thrills, and of course, monkey brains. That's right, monkey brains are on the menu. Did I mention there's bugs, like lots and lots of bugs? Yeah, there's bugs. Coming in at number 72 is Rambo, First Blood Part 2. Sly turns John Rambo from complex, sympathetic character to full-blown macho 80s killing machine, as he's sent back to Vietnam to investigate a POW camp that's not supposed to exist. I'm always amazed at the physical transformation from Rocky to Rambo, as you notice Sly's physique is a little slimmer, a little bit more cut than whenever he does Rocky. My favorite scene is easily the mud scene. Coming in at number 71 is The Fly. Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis had this Cronenberg remake of a man who develops teleportation technology. But while testing it, he accidentally fuses himself with a housefly. This movie has breathtaking, fantastic, practical effects. There are many great scenes, but my favorite has to be the arm wrestling scene. Coming in at number 70 is Scanners, another Cronenberg classic about humans that have developed telepathic abilities. A group of rebels led by one of the most powerful telepaths, played by Michael Ironside, must be stopped at all costs. When I saw this movie, I was very, very young, and the head exploding scene took me back. Like, I was not expecting that. But my favorite scene is the final battle where the two strong telepaths go at each other. They got all types of great body effects with veins and vessels like just popping up and squeezing and exploding. Coming in at number 69 is Rocky 3. Rocky goes full 80s as he takes on Hulk Hogan and then Mr. T with some help from his old nemesis Apollo Creed. Mr. T's so powerful, whenever he throws a knockout punch, you actually hear a dinosaur roaring. You've got the famous Eye of the Tiger song, which if you were around back then, it was a pretty big deal. My favorite scene is Clubber challenging Rocky to a fight by kicking it to Adrian in front of his face. It's pretty hilarious, and it's just something that when you grow up in an Italian neighborhood, you just know you don't do that. Coming in at number 68 is Bachelor Party. Tom Hanks and Adrian Zmed lead a group of degenerates who partake in a bachelor party of epic proportions. We're talking hookers, drugs, and a donkey that really knows how to party. When his fiancée suspects he might be up to no good, she takes her shower ladies out for some revenge. My favorite scene is easily one involving the ex-boyfriend who's trying to ruin the party. They tie him up and hang him outside of the window of the hotel.
Are you sure you're okay?
Yes.
Are you fine? Really?
Coming in at number 67 is Police Academy. Steve Guttenberg is Carrie Mahoney, a police cadet who wants nothing but to be kicked out of the academy. Kim Cattrall, Bubba Smith, and others will try to change his mind. This is a very fun and quite raunchy comedy. I have two favorite scenes. I couldn't leave either one out. One involving Lieutenant Harris, who happens to be riding a motorcycle, and he crashes with his head going well. And scene number two, Commandant Lassard decides to give a speech.
As well as very, very stimulating. Now this first slide shows a very, very interesting thing. Our main building.
Coming in at number 66 is The Karate Kid Part 2. Daniel accompanies Mr. Miyagi to Okinawa to deal with some family affairs and wrestle some old demons. Things get extremely serious as Mr. Miyagi tells him, this is no tournament. Daniel has a new love interest and he learns the drum technique. My favorite scene is easily the final fight at the end. It's pretty epic with everybody pulling out their little drums and rolling them back and forth. Coming in at number 65 is Revenge of the Nerds. Lewis and Gilbert lead a group of freshman nerds to start their own branch of Lambda 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 fraternity. But they must compete and beat the Jocks frat in order to stop them from constant bullying. This is raunchy good fun. My favorite scene, the frat party scene with Wonder Joints and Michael Jackson's Thriller playing? Okay. Coming in at number 64 is Weird Science. Gary and Wyatt create the woman of their dreams on their computer, but in a happy accident, Lisa is born, played by Kelly LeBrock. She not only fulfills their fantasies, she installs a confidence they never knew they had. You've got a young Robert Downey Jr. here. You've got nuclear missiles, killer mutants. You really have it all. My favorite scene involves Anthony Michael Hall, drunk as a skunk in a club, telling everybody the story of his life in a kind of blues style. It's pretty cool. Coming in at number 63 is Airplane with the exclamation point. This parody disaster film is nonstop laughs as shamed pilot Ted Stryker must land a commercial airplane full of people who ate bad fish. It's my favorite parody film of all time. It's really hard to pick one particular scene, but I know I laugh the hardest whenever the pilot speaks to the little boy.
Joey, do you like movies about gladiators?
Coming in at number 62 is RoboCop. This is an origin story about a cyborg police officer who has dreams of his former life and secretly craves for revenge against the gang who brutally killed him. It's gritty, it's extreme, and at times a little silly. I'd buy that for $1 indeed. Coming in at number 61 is Streets of Fire. Old flame Tom Cody comes back to town to rescue rock star Ellen Aim from a guy named Raven Shattuck and his gang, the Bombers, in what is described as a rock and roll fairy tale. Think of an R-rated Grease with much less music. Michael Paré, one of my biggest crushes, Diane Lane, Willem Dafoe, and Rick Moranis. This movie is so crazy. It has Willem Dafoe walking around in a vinyl jumper. My favorite scene, Tom and Raven go at it with sledgehammers. They actually have a sledgehammer duel.
Nice, huh?
Coming in at number 60 is Running Scared. Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal play Chicago cops chasing after a drug lord named Julio Gonzalez, played by Jimmy Smits. After a botched arrest, they get sent on a mandatory vacation where they get a taste of the good life in Key West. Can they get their groove back on the streets of this windy city? This is easily one of my favorite buddy cop films. My favorite scene is easily all the Key West scenes. Makes me want to head straight to Florida. Coming in at number 59 is Scarface, a mobster remake set in Miami. Al Pacino plays Tony Montana, a Cuban refugee looking to rise in the criminal underworld. But as he explains to his right-hand man Manolo, first you get the money, then you get the power. After that, then you get the woman. That being Michelle Pfeiffer, who looks fantastic in this. Pacino's Cuban accent is as cheesy as it is memorable. My favorite scene is easily the chainsaw scene where one of Tony's guys gets absolutely mauled inside of a shower. Coming in at number 58 is Young Guns. Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland, and Lou Diamond Phillips lead a rat pack of deputized cowboys looking to arrest the men who murdered their boss, John Tunstall. If Christopher Nolan had made this movie, he would have titled it Billy the Kid Begins. My favorite scene in the movie, easily, Charlie Sheen's character gets killed off early in the movie, which is really, really shocking at that moment for anybody in the 80s because he was easily the biggest actor in that group. If you are a fan of Westerns, I recently did a huge Western ranking. Coming in at number 57 is Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Kirk and his crew must risk everything to recover Spock's body from the Genesis planet, but the Federation and the Klingons are in their way. This is actually the first time you see the Enterprise get destroyed, but definitely not the last. Christopher Lloyd plays a rogue Klingon captain, which I gotta say was a little odd for that time. He was mostly doing comedies at that time. My favorite scene is easily the Enterprise crew stealing the Enterprise from the Federation. It was pretty awesome. Coming in at number 56 is Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. Proof that a successful Friday the 13th movie can be done without boobs, as Jason is resurrected Frankenstein style, and he continues his quest to kill camp counselors and anyone else who crosses his path. This is a very self-aware movie with lots of Easter eggs. It's very, very fun. My favorite scene, it's pretty tough, but there is a scene where the sheriff gets caught by Jason and he snaps his back in reverse. It's pretty nasty. Coming in at number 55 is Christine. People of this generation will never know about a young man's love for his car. Back in the day, some guys loved their cars even more than they loved their women. Now picture that with an evil possessed killing car, and this is what you get. After buying Christine, Arnie goes from school nerd to confident stud who gets the hot girl. But everyone learns no one is getting between Arnie and Christine. My favorite scene is easily the car repairing itself scene, which was done in a very cool reverse effect. If you haven't seen this movie, go check it out. Bunch of shitters. Coming in at number 54 is Gremlins. Billy gets a creature known as a mogwai for Christmas. Rules are, keep it out of the light, don't feed it after midnight, and never ever let it touch water. Billy fails at all three rules. Don't be like Billy. Zach Galligan, my all-time crush Phoebe Cates, and Corey Feldman are all great in this. My favorite scene, it's tough, but I'm going to say Billy's mom fights off a few gremlins in the kitchen. It's pretty cool. She even shoves one in the microwave. Coming in at number 53 is Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. It's Freddy versus Jason. No, it's not. Too many years too early. It's Jason versus Carrie. Well, sorta. Jason takes on Tina, a troubled teen with telekinetic powers, and she really gives him a run for his money. The kills, which were heavily trimmed down thanks to the MPAA, are still fantastic and inventive. The sleeping bag kill, which is, I believe, the best kill of the entire franchise, it's just so awesome. But my favorite scene is easily the Jason versus Tina battle. It lasts pretty long, and she really just gives him a tough fight. Coming in at number 52 is Back to School. Rodney Dangerfield is Thornton Mellon, a successful businessman who, in order to convince his son to stay in college, he enrolls and becomes the oldest living freshman. We all wish we had a father like him. F that, we all wish we could party with a guy like this. You got William Zabka, a young Robert Downey Jr., Terry Farrell, and Burt Young, may he rest in peace. My favorite scene easily is Mellon doing the triple Lindy dive at the end of the movie. Coming in at number 51 is Crocodile Dundee. Susan, a New York reporter, heads to Australia to interview legend Mick Dundee. She's so taken by him, she decides to bring him back to New York to expand on her story. A true fish out of water comedy, as Dundee is amazed at the wonders of the city, and it's just as amazed at him. My favorite scene easily is Sue going to fill up her canteen with water, and she gets attacked by a croc. Thank God Mick is nearby spying on her to save the day. Coming in at number 50 is Coming to America. To escape an arranged marriage, Prince Akeem, played by Eddie Murphy, flees to America, accompanied by his sidekick Semi, played by Arsenio Hall. But these two actors play a plethora of different roles in this quest to find love in Queens, New York. Working at McDowell's, he romances Lisa, but struggles with revealing his true identity. My favorite scene is easily the big dance entrance scene at the beginning of the movie. It is so glorious that Busta Rhymes used it in one of his videos. And coming in at number 49 is Friday the 13th Part 4, The Final Chapter. This is the quintessential Friday the 13th movie. It's got great kills. It's got Corey Feldman. It's got the Doublemint twins. It's got one of the greatest dances in horror history. And of course, it's got a ton of teenagers, and they're all horny as hell. My favorite scene has got to be the odd one, where a guy who goes down into the basement gets trapped by Jason, and while Jason is stabbing him, he's yelling out, "Oh my God, he's killing me, he's killing me." It was really weird. Coming in at number 48 is The Abyss. James Cameron gives us a beautiful underwater adventure. Too bad he almost drowned his entire cast in the process. Seriously, no one who was in this movie has any fond memories of it. Ed Harris, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Michael Biehn. It's just awesome. It's one of those Cameron movies where the effects just kind of just steal the show. My favorite scene is a scene involving a kind of water effects scene. James Cameron really has a thing for water. And my runner-up for this video, coming in at number 47, is Batman, also known as Batman 89. Michael Keaton is Batman, and in this version, the Joker, played by Jack Nicholson, killed his parents. In case you believe that's how it happened in the comics, nah. It was extremely special at the time, with that Danny Elfman score and the Prince soundtrack. My favorite scene is easily the museum scene. You got Kim Basinger being wooed by the Joker, and then Batman shows up. And my final movie for this video, coming in at number 46, is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Michael is back with a dime store mask and some dorky shoulder pads. Jamie Lee Curtis is gone, with little Danielle Harris playing Laurie Strode's daughter, Jamie. But don't let any of those negatives fool you. This has some of the best kills. It has a great story, atmosphere, character development, and a fantastic ending. My favorite scene, easily, the shotgun scene. Well, guys, that wraps things up here. From the city that never sleeps.
See my face in lights.
Peace,
On my
baby.
name on marquees found down on Broadway. Even if it ain't what it seems, I got a pocket full of dreams, baby. I'm from New York.